Okay, y'all, give it a couple of seconds to come back. Yay, there we are. Okay. And I got my little bulletins up now too, so we can go through there. Because you have motivated me to get into this. And I renamed the title. Because I'm sorry, but it's just gotta be... I mean, the downloads that Spirit gave me, and I kept putting it off, and they kept saying, "Come on." And I'm like, just give me some, you know, some time. And I realized I had a job to do. And so let me see which one. Okay, let's see. Divine. Taurus or Pisces, as far as what, honey? Very close, actually. Actually a Gemini sun, but I'm Pisces moon. And we actually all exhibit all 12 of the signs depending on where the planets were at the time of birth and what those planets rule, what characteristics they rule. So, you know, it's common, people are always like, you know, what's your sign? They say their sun sign. That's the most common because that's your outer self, what you show people. But your moon sign is more your internal stuff, your intuitive stuff, your emotional stuff that's inside. And so I really relate or resonate a lot with Pisces stuff because it's like, I already know the shit on my outside. I mean, I'm a fucking Gemini on the outside. So I got two of them bitches, you know. The shit I need to work through is internal stuff. And so the internal stuff always hits me real hard with Pisces. Like, no joke. There's a particular reader that I do watch because I'm not one of those readers who's like, I'm not going to watch any other reader because I'm a reader. I see that so much and I think it's silly. I think that we're all gifted and that, you know, you never know what you can learn, you know. So, okay, so I have my, I'm just pulling up. Yeah, and it's funny because I'm like, oh, of course, go figure. I'd have the only two signs in the zodiac system that are duality with the two fish and then the twins as my sun and moon sign. But, you know, that's why they always say, and I say in my readings, to pay attention to your other signs if you don't feel like a reading is resonating with you, because it won't always resonate with you unless you do a personal reading. That's just how it is. But okay, so I did it like as bullet points. For people who don't get downloads, it's so hard to explain, but the best way I explain it as, it's like being a computer. and someone just like or a phone, and someone just downloading an app, and you just have the information. You don't even have to fucking read it, learn it. You just know it. Spirit just says, okay, you're ready for this. Here you go. And by the way, this is what we want you to use it for. Oh, hi, I'm so glad you're back, Eleni, because we are about to get into the ugly truth of twin flames. And I hate to call it that, I really do, because I don't want it to be perceived wrong. I am very, very about love. And when I do my readings, I call them love readings, but I explain to people that love can come in. Oh, really? Do people not do that often? It must be the intuition in me. I don't know. Oh, wow. Well, that's neat. I'm glad. Hey, if you feel like you resonate, like I said, I'm going to do an offer for the signs that I didn't get to this month because of the bad car accident we got into, and then I was going through my own ascensions. I mean, I spiritually awoke a long time ago. And so I try to explain it to people, like, once you're spiritually awake, then you just start ascending. And then the way I explain that is, it's kind of like everybody's going to wake up, but they're going to wake up at their own time, at their own speed. Same thing goes for ascension. So some people don't get downloads yet, but basically, oh, I missed that last. That's why I wanted to pull up here. I'm going to pull it up on my computer. I'm pulling it up on my computer so I can see the chat. Like on my phone, it'll show it for like a second. So if I don't see it in time, I don't see the whole thing. But if I pull this up, yeah, that's very good. That's very good. I mean, and you're not far behind. This shift that just happened wasn't that long ago. Although ever since I was a child, I've had the ability to do these things. So why isn't it not letting me into the chat room? Oh, we're still in Mercury retrograde, so it doesn't surprise me. Yes. And then, so, like I tell people, once you're spiritually awake, what will happen is, it's kind of like, I explain it like, because I had to sit, and I'm a very visual and metaphorical person, so I would tell people it's kind of like when you go to the gym and you work out a muscle, okay? Your spirituality is kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it's going to get. But also, the more you use it, the more it's going to hurt. You don't necessarily hurt, though, but it just drains you. It drains your energy. And that's something I think that people don't quite understand about. Oh, that's awesome. And there's actually some amazing videos, because I research all this for my clients, because same thing when I do my readings. I like to explain and show the cards, because I feel like we all have intuition, and I could interpret a card one way, but if I show it to you, your intuition might kick into drive and something in that picture could resonate with you. I think it's so important as spiritual advisors, or, you know, people that are reading for someone, like if it's a private session and it's paid for, that they get the most out of it, that they get to learn something aside from just like, you know, the spiritual advice, but they actually get to learn, you know, how to decipher those things in case they ever want to pick it up on their own. Okay, I saw that. I'm still trying to get into my yeah, absolutely. And actually, another good one, something that I learned along my journey, is called Santo, and it looks like this, and it's Hollywood. And basically, what I learned, and I didn't know this because I thought sage like cleansed everything, made it positive, but that's not necessarily the case. Now, don't get me wrong, I use sage all the time, but what sage does is it will cleanse everything and neutralize it, so it'll neutralize the negative energy and stuff. But what Santo does is, with it being holy wood, when you burn it after the sage, it'll actually implement positive vibes into the environment. So that's another thing that I like to share with my clients, along with certain crystals that can stones that can help you with things. You know, everybody has their knacks for what works for them. I'm big on nature, so yeah, I just, it was really neat because I just got some new ones today that I had never heard of, and this one right here, until I have it memorized, it's called Epidote, and it looks like this. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like the prettiest thing, but you can just feel the energy, and it's for increased perception and reaction with spiritual beings, you know, our guides and whatnot. It brings spiritual growth. It's great for releasing negative energy, raising one's vibrational energy, helpful for those in moods of depression, unhappiness, or negative thinking. It's like a, let's see if I can get it. It's actually really neat because, let me see if I can, it's like a greenish color, but if you look at this sideways, it's almost like there's a white, kind of like what quartz looks like on it. And it's like green with just like darker specks of green and white. It's really, I mean, I just liked what it did. You know, when I'm at the store, I'll look it up and see because they had a bunch of new ones. Oh, and then this one right here, Unikite. It's green with pink. It almost reminds me of Starburst when I used to mix my Starburst together. Like the not the original one, but it's so hard to get that color. But this one's nurturing energy of, trying to read my own handwriting, of green, compassion of pink, and it's one of nature's most healing crystals of the heart and the mind. So it resonates frequencies of love, compassion, and kindness, and dedicated to balance the emotional body. I mean, I just love, I have so many, but it takes a while to learn all their properties and the healing properties. But even my oldest son took an interest into that. So, yeah, that's neat. I like when they follow our ways. Yeah. So I'm going to get into, oh, that's up to some readings. I'm going to get into these notes here real quick. I'm just trying to pull up this live thing so I can respond to chat a little better if I need to. If it's that big of a deal, I'll just say screw it. But like I said, if it's on my phone, it comes up so quick and then it goes away. Which is why I liked my Chromebook, but that broke. That was a part of this series of unfortunate events. Let's see. That's the first one. Where is... I should be able to just hit my channel. Live now. Okay, perfect. And then y'all's chat should be right there. Yes, that's better. So that way when y'all write something, if I don't catch it right away, I can see it and respond. Okay, so let's get into this twin flameness here. And hopefully this will help somebody who's not actually looking for a reading, which, like I said, I will do. I don't know if it'll be tonight, energy-wise. This, whatever this is, stabbing eyeball, headache. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but if y'all want to subscribe and hit the bell button, it'll notify you. And tomorrow I will post a, if you're interested, I will post a reading on the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and the karmic, and where each of them are, where they stand right now, basically, if that makes sense. So okay, so I did bullet points, and like I said, I went back and forth on this quite a few times. My guides were getting pretty antsy with me, reminding me that this is my job and they need information to go out for a reason. And I understand that. And I just have to remind them that I'm human too. And of course I want to help humanity. And that's the whole point of it, like I was saying earlier, is that before, when a soul was created, it was split into two. and one stayed on the other side and one came to Earth, and they were kind of like more of a spirit guide. And then, you know, my guides haven't given me the exact reason why. The most I got from them was that the reason why both parts of the soul are on the earth now is to restore humanity and to restore love, the belief in love again. But it can be a little confusing, I think, because certain people created a concept without actually either meditating and getting answers from their guides, and just went off of this information that they heard from so-and-so's moms, cousins, sisters, brothers, whatever. So twins can be here physically or spiritually. And they're very different from soulmates. Where soulmates can be manifested. Your twin flame can't. That's basically a mirror of yourself. I mean, pretty much the same concept of a regular twin. I mean, they're twins. You can't change that. But you can get married to someone you love and get divorced, right? So the purpose of twin flame is to burn off karmas that we hold or that we've held in past lives that have carried on to this life. Twin flame is not a fairy tale. It's not the best way to have romance in your life. The 3D reality really confuses this love romantically versus explaining that the journey is here to be helpful. And if you look up the, I'm sorry, it's called, I don't know if I'm getting my words backwards, but the journey of the dark night soul. So basically, part of a lesson of us being here is to experience our shadow self, our dark self, and address those issues. If a twin is scheduled through the divine, and things aren't happening as quickly as you would like, remember that this is a healing level, and you have to be able to do this journey. That's what I was saying. Not everybody meets their twin flame in this lifetime. It's like a vibrational mirror image. You literally mirror in this person the darkest parts of yourself. Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. That's why I said at the beginning it can seem like a fairy tale. Okay? Mine was within a matter of 4 months. And it was already like, let's get pregnant, let's have a baby. Like, literally things I would never agree to. Never. Just meeting someone and letting them move in the first day I met them. I mean, I did say something like, I don't think this is healthy, but I didn't stop it. And then that's what I was saying. It was almost like a possession or something. Like, your bodies just literally are magnetic. And I don't know if it happens this way for everyone, but it was just procreate, you know? It's the craziest thing, you guys. It's the craziest thing. Like, but anyways, so, if true flame, like a true twin flame, does not have to hold on for dear life to the universe. Like, codependency cannot work. Like abusive relationships and codependency. You can't love someone sober. The more you live your truth, the more your life improves. And like I said before, in the later stages of the twin flame journey, it is not romantic. It's scary as fuck. But there's much more work to be done before that. You get left alone, abandoned. In my case, there wasn't really any chasing, but I don't know if my case was different because I was not just left alone and abandoned, but I just found out I was pregnant. And so I had hormones going, found out all these things about him that were just like, oh hell no, I'm not doing this. It was similar stuff to my marriage, and I wasn't about to go through that at the expense of my children. So, solutions on the 3D ego never find answers from the 3D. So, twin flames are leaders in a sense. They're supporting the ascension in humanity intensifies after the first encounter. High energy needed to be balanced. They help with healing the collective / ancestral. Twin flames choose to experience what this feels like, this flesh, this humanness. Twin flames are often born into highly dysfunctional families, or very abusive or very overprotective. And through their lifetime of healing, they're setting up clear, solid foundations so that there will be no more karmic pain. Now, twin flames change the whole family lineage and vibration. So, what did I put right there? I was like, what did I say? Sometimes I'll put like little, oh, I'm so glad you're listening. Sorry, I paused right there. If I pause, I'm either like getting a download, and this will happen with my readings too, or if I'm looking at, like, if they're talking to me or giving me a download, like, I have to write or type so fast, and I'll put in parentheses like certain synchronicities or things that happen, and I'll just put, may have a significant meaning later. So, like, I was on one topic and then I was like, what is this saying? But it was in parentheses, so it was just something that if it related to something later, I would know, if that makes sense. So anyways, moving along. So twins, starseed, indigo children, incarnating through lineage, energetic field, and timeline, born onto the earth. Twin healed enough themselves are called upon to heal the collective. So healing the collective pain and the heart chakra feel like living in that path, that journey. So by people seeing this twin flame journey happening, or those that actually are experiencing it, they're teaching humanity how life on new earth, when we get past this shift where everybody's gonna spiritually awake, very few won't, but that's by their free will. Don't ask me why they would do that. I don't know. So yeah, so basically, the point is to teach humanity how life on the new earth will be based on authenticity, freedom, self-love, and compassion. And this is where I tell people, I don't push religion on anybody, but if they want to give it a go at me, well, I have my facts, and my facts aren't man-made. My facts are from the source. And so my answer to them is very short. I tell them, well, that's good if that's helping you feel love at the end of the day, then that's fantastic. However, to judge somebody who doesn't follow a man-made religion is going against your own religion. Because, and I always tell them, correct me if I'm wrong, But Jesus said, ow, I give unto you a new covenant, and that is love. Plain and simple, that is love. Doesn't matter how, who, when, where, what you practice. If at the end of the day, the goal is love, that's all it is. You don't need a big book or a big, you know, I try not to get into too much of it because I don't want to offend anyone, but at the same time, I don't think that anyone would be watching this channel that I could offend. I could be wrong, but, you know, it's, to me, honestly, and it's always been this way, I've always pictured it this way as a little girl. I've always had this connection as I was a little girl. I'm very connected to the angels, my guides, my gods. And I always felt like it was meant to be an intimate relationship between you and what you considered your higher power. As long as every day, yeah, we're human, we're not perfect, but as long as every day you were showing love the best way you knew how. So now what happens is the ego uses lies as a mean of self-defense. And some of you may have heard this if you've ever dealt with narcissistic abuse. I plan to do a video on that. I have so many plans for this channel. And I actually just created a Facebook page for it because I used to do just individual spiritual advising, reading, and stuff like that. And then, I don't know, it just dawned upon me. I guess my guides put it upon me, like, get that word out there, like, as fast as you can, as much as you can. Get on that internet. So, yeah, that is interesting. So anyways, so yeah, the ego uses lies as a means of self-defense. You know, we must drop everything that is not for our better good, and oh, there's a typo there. For better good. See, I was typing fast. Okay, I'm not sure what, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that bullet point is talking about. I apologize. So anyways, so the soul wants to focus on self. Being with our twin, literally, we would burn out. Hence why it used to be that only one came to Earth and one was like a guide, because the power is just too intense. And really, it truly is. Like, I lost everything just to get, I don't mind sharing tidbits of my story if it's going to help others. especially if it's not a tarot reading session. When I got divorced, I spent 7 years not dating, heartbroken because I had this dream of my family being together. It wasn't by choice, it was forced. And that's what blows my mind is in 7 years I raised my oldest son with no help. I ended up having to get open heart surgery with no help. And was in the hospital for 3 months and literally had to call someone from California, where I'm from, to come get my son because obviously he could not stay in the hospital for 3 months with me. And when I tried to call his father, he said, "You have 2 legs. You can walk out of that hospital and do your job and take care of our kid." And the doctor was right next to me and was like, "Please don't tell me that's your child's father." And I said, "Yeah, it is, unfortunately." I need to be careful with my words. But yeah, that was just, to me, I was like, I have to have a blood transfusion. I just found out I have to have open heart surgery. And you're telling me you're that cold that you won't come get our son because I have 2 legs and I could walk out? Yeah, I could, but I'll probably fall over and collapse and die. I mean, maybe that would make all your dreams come true, but I am not. I am the most easygoing ex-wife, try to co-parent to the best of my ability, but all he wants to do is counter-parent. That's what narcissists do. I don't use that term lightly. I already know people say you can't call somebody that if you're not a psychologist, but you know what? When you've suffered from narcissistic abuse your whole life, it doesn't take a lot to know what a narcissist is. I mean, come on. So, our inner child is programmed based on scarcity. It's not in line with true essence. So we end up in the same mess until we heal our inner child. And that's the whole point behind when people say, if you can't love yourself, how do you expect anyone else to love you? I used to hate when people said that. I hated it with a passion. But I realized that was because I didn't love myself. So of course, it took, honestly, it literally took this last, and this is why I say it's a tricky thing. It really took this last traumatic experience with this twin flame journey to actually know for once in my life what loving myself was. I was told by the doctors, "Are you sure you want to go through with this pregnancy? Because with your heart, there's a chance you won't make it." And I said, that's not even a question. I said, I've already lived my life. You make sure my baby's okay. You know? So, so then we basically get to this point in the journey where we're crying, we're screaming, we're pissed, we're angry, and we're just acting out like energetic puking machines. It's like food poisoning, but you get to a part of the journey where you have to purge. You have to purge all that shit out. And then, let's see. And then you come to a point where you're happy in your life, or you need to be, anyways, but most likely it'll come naturally. You're happy in your life as if the union between your twin never even took place. Never even took place. Who I've met, that's what's important to me. And who I've met is my true self. I never would have met her without this journey. But it is by no means a fairy tale. It is by no means to be romanticized the way that it is. It's definitely can be a very traumatic thing, or if you already suffer from PTSD, can definitely add to it. But it can also heal, and that's kind of the purpose of it. So, you know, just be aware that when you're feeling sad and alone, you're doing yourself a great favor, because you're taking ownership of your feelings, and you're basically proving to yourself that I can accept these feelings that I feel, and I'm okay with the anger, the anxiety, the sadness. I'm okay in my own skin. Even if that means you eat a whole thing of chocolate ice cream, so what? You know? Um, or you overindulge in whatever. So what? You know? Because you just went through hell and made it out quick enough before the devil even knew you were there. You know? Feel me? So choose wisely and choose love always. But before we come here, we purposely choose very messed up family dynamics on purpose to be able to hack it and feel it and support those who go through this. And this isn't for everyone. This is just for specific people that have taken on, you know, this wasn't something you were forced to do. It's something that you volunteered to do. And I ask myself all the time, was I drunk when I signed this? Because this doesn't feel a whole lot like you're never given more than you can handle type shit. I don't know. So, but the twin flame journey also forces you to be authentic. And that's something that we rarely see anymore. We rarely see organicness, authenticity, unconditional love, which you can't have unless you have self-love. And it's really a frightening thing because these cycles are going to keep repeating. And if you're a parent, you know that there's no greater suffering, no greater pain than thinking, just even the thought of your child having to feel any pain, especially pain that you've been through. I mean, I made it an oath to myself to break this cycle. So, when we finally leave the 3D, or what they call the matrix, for good, self-love is the closest that we can get to our God, to the source, to your higher power. Pure, divine, detached from the matrix, release your crying, feel good, let go of the idea of this fairy tale reunion that has to happen in this life, because it may or it may not. And that's why I say be thankful for the karmics too, whether it's your karmics or it's the person you love's karmic. Don't wish ill upon them. Wish them love and happiness, and that because they're somebody else's twin flame. When you're a karmic, you're somebody else's twin flame if you're their karmic. Feel me? So pray that they find theirs. So if you choose to do so, you can have yours. And I think that was, let me check something real quick. That was as much as I typed. Let me check. Oh yeah, I remember this. Interview with the Divine. First, they gave me a download on love before we got into the twin flame stuff. Which is interesting because love is a feeling. We yearn for it. We burn for it. We search for it. And people always want to have this mixed notion that love is the bad thing. Love is what feels horrible. But that's not true. It's the unpleasant symptoms that come with love, like rejection, abuse of all types, codependency. And then it's those feelings that we want to numb because they're uncomfortable. And so when you numb yourself, and you're taught this from an innocent child, don't feel, don't know, and don't grow. Motivation to learn why or how to coexist with those emotions and learn not to let them pass. We would then learn self-worth at a young age. And there's a quote that says, it's easier to raise good men, or you could put women, than it is to fix a broken adult. And that is so fucking true. Because if we didn't have the dysfunctionalness in our family that came from before and before and before, we would be able to know love and self-worth from the beginning. So it's understood that all of us want to know our fortune in love, right? And anyone can pick up some tools, divination, whatever it could be, cards, whatever, and learn some fancy lingo and tell you everything you've been longing to hear. And you force it to fit. And you know, I call this the Cinderella effect. I mean, it's just a personal name I gave to a behavior that I exhibited on my own journey. You never want to take a message that doesn't fit and try to make it fit, or it's not going to serve you. And I said this part before. Love is the vibration that takes us home. Discipline trains you to be who you are not. Spirituality retrains you to return to who you are. Okay, this is all what love is really about, y'all. Loving, trusting, relationship with your higher self. to guide you from above, you know, the whole ascension journey and healing. So what do you want? Ask yourself. And then, you know, listen to your higher self's answer by listening to your intuition. Who am I? Collective truth? You know, many held many healed love together. Sorry, like I said, sometimes I'm writing so fast I can't. So, the people we hurt most is ourselves. We work so hard at looking for true love that being heartbroken, bruised, broken, not understanding what's wrong with us, leave us feeling unloved and unworthy. And then, you know, some of us take the route where we limit ourselves on others' rules because we think whatever our intuition or whatever we feel you know, obviously didn't work for us, so we were doing something wrong. But religion is dogma of others you dance for. No good. Freedom, release all attachments, love without judgment, and rise above judgment for yourself and for others. To forgive is really truth inside you. Martin Luther King said it the best, you know, hate in your heart will consume you too. So, yeah, and I have it here, like I said earlier, every divine feminine, divine masculine starts as a karmic. And that's why I say, you know, you can't be upset with past relationships that didn't work out because there was something in that relationship that did something positive for you if you really think about it. Now the way to tell the difference between a karmic and then like a divine feminine. Well, a karmic is someone who's going to devalue themselves. They are going to be out of balance. They're going to have like trained patterns